Stop. Before you spend $1,000 or more on a TV, there's one mistake that could leave you regretting your choice every single day. Forget OLED, QLED, Mini LED, and endless specs we're cutting through the hype to reveal what actually matters for your viewing experience. Stay until the end, because this simple buying rule could save you money and help you choose the perfect TV for you. If this video helps you avoid overpaying, make sure to like and subscribe for more honest TV breakdowns. And comment below, do you watch TV in a bright room or a dark cinema setup? That one detail changes everything. The TV brands you thought you could trust are under pressure. For decades, buying a television was almost ridiculously simple. See a Samsung, LG, or Sony logo, and you assumed you were buying quality. But 2026 is exposing a major change in that formula. The market is becoming far more competitive, with TCL and Hisense growing aggressively, while technologies like Mini LED and RGB Mini LED are moving into more price ranges. Counterpoint reported that TCL's global TV shipments grew 22% year-over-year in Q1 2026, compared with 8% for Samsung. And here's the part that makes this especially interesting. The old giants aren't necessarily losing because their TVs suddenly became bad. They're being challenged because competitors can now offer features that once required a premium price. Mini LED is a perfect example. In 2026, global Mini LED TV shipments are projected to reach roughly 24.9 million units, an 87% increase year-over-year. And Chinese brands TCL, Hisense, and Xiaomi together account for more than half of that market. This changes the way consumers should think about brand reputation. A television with a famous logo isn't automatically the best value anymore. You can now find extremely bright Mini LED TVs, advanced local dimming, high refresh rates, powerful gaming features, and enormous screen sizes from brands that were once considered secondary players. The technology gap is narrowing, and that's forcing premium manufacturers to give buyers a much stronger reason to spend the extra money. But there's an even bigger story developing underneath all of this. The battle isn't just about who sells the most TVs anymore, it's about who controls the next generation of TV technology. OLED manufacturers are pushing brightness and contrast further, while companies across the industry are experimenting with RGB Mini LED and other advanced backlighting systems. In fact, 2026 has been described as a major year for RGB Mini LED, with virtually every major manufacturer exploring the technology in some form. And that means the TV you buy in 2027 could look very different from the one you would have considered the obvious choice just a few years ago. The Chinese brands are no longer the cheap alternative. For years, there was an easy way to describe TCL and Hisense. Good features, low price, but not quite premium. That description is becoming outdated. In 2026, both companies are pushing much deeper into high-end territory, especially with Mini LED, enormous screen sizes, and increasingly sophisticated processing. TCL's 2026 lineup, for example, now stretches into flagship SQD Mini LED and RGB backlit models, with screens reaching as large as 115 inches. And this isn't just about putting a bigger screen in a cheaper package. The technology itself is becoming genuinely competitive. TCL's latest QM8L, for example, has been tested at more than 3,700 nits in HDR, and includes 4 full HDMI 2.1 ports, while its lower-priced QM7L still delivers strong Mini LED performance and gaming features. That means buyers are increasingly getting the kind of brightness, contrast, and connectivity that used to be associated almost exclusively with flagship televisions. Hisense is taking a similar approach, but its biggest weapon is raw performance. The company's 2026 UR9 RGB Mini LED is capable of extremely high brightness, making it particularly attractive for bright living rooms and HDR viewing. Independent testing has measured exceptionally high HDR brightness, although the TV also shows why premium competition is still difficult. Processing, color accuracy, gaming performance, and overall refinement can still separate the best Chinese models from the most polished flagships. And that's the important distinction for you as a buyer. TCL and Hisense don't have to beat Samsung, LG, or Sony in every category to change the market. They simply have to offer 90% of the experience for significantly less money. The fact that TCL is now the world's second-largest TV maker and is building 2026 models around advanced Mini LED technologies shows how far the company has moved beyond the budget category The real question heading into 2027 isn't whether these brands belong in the premium conversation anymore. It's how much more expensive the traditional premium brands can justify being. Which TV technology fits your room? The real mistake most TV buyers make isn't choosing the wrong brand. It's choosing the right TV for the wrong room. A television can have incredible specs, perfect reviews, and a premium price tag. But if it can't handle the lighting, viewing distance, or type of content in your home, that expensive purchase can quickly feel like a mistake. This is why OLED and Mini LED are so important in 2026. OLED gives you pixel-level control, perfect blacks, and incredible contrast, making it ideal for movie lovers in darker rooms. Mini LED takes a different approach, using thousands of tiny LEDs and advanced local dimming to deliver much higher brightness, making it especially powerful for bright living rooms, daytime sports, and HDR content. But there's another factor buyers often overlook: screen size. Bigger isn't automatically better. If you sit too far away from a small TV, you lose the immersive effect of 4K. But if you choose an enormous screen for a small room, it can dominate the space and make normal content uncomfortable to watch. Measure the distance between your seating position and the TV before you shop, because that one measurement can eliminate a huge number of bad choices. And finally, think about how you actually use your TV. If you're watching movies at night, prioritize contrast and cinematic picture quality. If your living room is flooded with sunlight, brightness and reflection handling should move to the top of your list. If you're a PS5, Xbox, or PC gamer, features like 120 Hz or higher refresh rates, HDMI 2.1, VRR, and low input lag become far more important. Once you match the TV to your lifestyle, instead of simply chasing the biggest number on the box, the buying decision becomes dramatically easier. The new rules of the TV buying game. And this is where the entire market shift becomes very important for the average buyer. The biggest mistake you can make in 2026 is assuming that the most expensive TV or the most famous brand is automatically the best choice. The market has become much more competitive, and independent testing now shows strong options across OLED, Mini LED, and RGB-based technologies at very different price points. Take Mini LED, for example. It used to be a technology associated primarily with expensive flagship televisions, but that's no longer the case. Models such as TCL's QM7L are bringing extremely high brightness, strong color performance, 120 Hz class gaming features, VRR, OLM, and multiple HDMI 2.1 ports into a much more accessible price range. That means you don't necessarily need to spend several $1,000s to get a television that feels genuinely high-end. At the same time, OLED isn't standing still. Modern OLED televisions have become significantly brighter, and the latest flagship models are challenging some of the old assumptions about OLED being useful only in dark rooms. Recent testing of LG's 2026 G6, for example, measured peak HDR brightness above 3,000 nits, showing just how far premium OLED has evolved. At the same time, advanced RGB Mini LED is pushing even harder into OLED territory by combining extremely strong brightness with improved color and backlight control. So the new rule is simple. Stop shopping by brand first. Shop by performance and purpose first. Decide how much you're willing to spend, how large the screen needs to be, how bright your room is, whether you game, and whether you care more about perfect blacks or extreme brightness. Then compare the brands. Because in 2026, the best television for you might still be Samsung, LG, or Sony, but it could just as easily be TCL or Hisense. The smart buyer isn't loyal to a logo. The smart buyer follows the value. The final conclusion. So, after everything we've covered, there's one conclusion you should take away. The TV market of 2026 is no longer the market we knew a few years ago. Samsung, LG, and Sony are still powerful premium brands, but TCL and Hisense have become serious competitors, especially in Mini LED and value-focused televisions. And the technology itself is moving faster than ever, with OLED getting brighter while RGB Mini LED is closing the gap in brightness, color, and overall picture quality. But that doesn't mean you should suddenly stop buying Samsung, LG, or Sony. It means you should stop buying a TV simply because of the logo. Samsung's premium models remain excellent. LG continues to deliver some of the strongest OLED performance available, and Sony still has a major advantage in areas like processing and cinematic presentation. At the same time, TCL and Hisense can offer extraordinary brightness, mini LED technology, large screens, and gaming features for substantially less money. And this is where you have the advantage. You don't need to predict which company will dominate 2027. You simply need to understand what you're buying. Start with your room. If you watch mostly in the dark and care about perfect blacks and cinematic contrast, OLED remains an incredible choice. If your room is bright and you want maximum HDR impact, sports performance, and reflection resistance, a powerful mini LED can make more sense. And if you're looking for maximum performance per dollar, brands like TCL and Hisense deserve serious consideration rather than being dismissed as budget brands. The old TV world was about brand loyalty. The new TV world is about value, technology, and choosing the right tool for your room. The companies are going to keep fighting for your living room, and that competition will push picture quality higher while putting more features into lower price brackets. So, before you spend your money, ignore the hype, compare the actual performance, and ask one simple question. Is this the best TV for me? Because in 2026 and heading into 2027, the smartest buyer isn't the person who buys the most expensive TV. It's the person who gets exactly what they need without paying for what they don't.